What's up, basketball fans? Welcome to the Rats Report. It is time to talk about the Toronto Raptors because we are exactly 1 week away from the NBA trade deadline, and we've got a ton of rumors to discuss regarding the Toronto Raptors. So if you're ready to watch, make sure to hit the subscribe button. And with that being said, let's get into today's video. As you guys know, I do like to give out shout outs on my channel, and the shout out for today's video goes out to Bibsly99. Thank you so much for supporting this channel through your likes and comments. It is very much appreciated. Now let's talk about some news that came a little bit unexpected regarding the Toronto Raptors. We've talked about this. I've personally talked about this in a group chat with other people, and it was regarding the Phoenix Suns' Jusuf Nurkic. And Evan Sidri was reporting that the Suns will soon be trading Jusuf Nurkic, who is now their fourth string center. At Forbes, the latest on the Phoenix's search to deal Nurkic's contract for value. In return, four teams appear open to taking on Nurkic in exchange for a first-round pick. Now, the article went on to state that a source familiar with the situation recently informed me Phoenix has been in trade talks with the Chicago Bulls, the Atlanta Hawks, the Toronto Raptors, and the Washington Wizards related to Nurkic, and all four of these teams as potential destination makes sense simply because they're open to taking on his remaining contract in exchange for future first-round pick. The Suns recently acquired three least favorable first-round selections from the Utah Jazz for their unprotected 2031 first-round pick. In turn, this transaction tripled Phoenix's draft assets they can use. One of these picks will be used to help offload Nurkic. Now, if I'm the Toronto Raptors, I am absolutely jumping on this deal. Look, Jusuf Nurkic is what he is. He's got an attitude problem. He's an older center. He's a little bit injury prone, and he's not someone that you want on your team. But if you're getting a first-round pick, absolutely do it. He's making $18 million, and someone that comes into mind from the Toronto Raptors' point of view, who the Raptors may be looking to trade, and it would benefit the Phoenix Suns as well, is someone like Kelly Olynyk, who's making $13 million. This saves Phoenix $6 million, and in return, the Raptors get Jusuf Nurkic as center. So if they do, and when they do move off of Jakob Poeltl, it's not as if this team does not have a center. Look, I'm not the biggest Jusuf Nurkic fan, but he'll give you a decent amount of rebounds. He's not a very talented offensive player, but at least he's giving you rebounds, which is something you expect from the center position. And again, if you are to trade Jakob Poeltl, which we'll talk about because we have some Jakob Poeltl trade rumors as well, you absolutely need to have a center on this team, or you're essentially just playing, five out, and you're playing a roster without a center, which the Raptors have done in the past, and it's not pretty. So if you're able to get a first round pick for Kelly Olynyk, I mean, that's a pretty good deal, even if it means taking on Jusuf Nurkic's $18 million, who has one more year left, and he's making $19 million next season, which, again, it's not too bad, all things considering. But the big news that came out yesterday, this was the one that was juicy. This is the one we've got to discuss, and this was involving the Toronto Raptors in a potential three-team deal. Now, NBA Central was reporting yesterday there's a potential three-team trade framework that could send Jimmy Butler to the Golden State, Andrew Wiggins to Toronto, and Bruce Brown to Miami, according to HP Basketball. One framework, two sources described as Golden State hope involved Andrew Wiggins going out in the deal either directly to Toronto or rerouted to Toronto from Miami for Bruce Brown. If Wiggins does not sound like a significant piece, Stein reported on to you, well, he's not. But what he is in a contract they can package with other things. Now, before people ask, who is HP Basketball? I've read a lot of comments online. And a lot of people have actually stated that this is a source that broke down. They were the first to report that Jakob Poeltl is getting traded to the Toronto Raptors. They've also hit on some of the other deals as well. So they don't just necessarily throw out trade rumors. Now, I like this deal for the Toronto Raptors. Now, you ask why. I mean, Andrew Wiggins, when you look at his contract, he's making a ton of money. He's about to be 30 next month as well. He's also got a couple more years left on his contract. Again, you take a look at the contract here. He's making $26.2 million this season, $28 million next season, and the following season, he's got a player option for $30 million. He might or might not take it, depends on the market, depends on how well he performs. But in terms of Andrew Wiggins, bringing the Canadian home, I'm not just saying this because he's Canadian. I'm saying this because the Raptors are in dire position of having a small forward on this team. The Raptors tried RJ Barrett. With respect to RJ, he's not a great defensive player, which makes it so much more difficult for Raptors that already lack a lot of defense to really play any sort of defensive, play any sort of good defensive basketball. But in terms of Andrew Wiggins, why do I want him on the Raptors? For one simple reason only: he's been consistent. He's constantly given throughout his career, every single season besides the last season where he's dealing with family and personal issues, he's given you 16 plus points every single season, which is absolutely amazing to have. Look, I know it seems like a lot of money now, but given a season or two from now, it won't look like a lot when players are making 50, 60, $70 million. So $28 million for his production isn't bad. He's also a good three-point shooter and he's a good defender as well. Now, what does this mean for the Raptors? They'll be taking on a lot of salary. And why would the Miami Heat not want Andrew Wiggins, you may ask? For one simple reason, they don't want to invest in long-term money. They've already said that they'd rather have expiring contracts, which is why Bruce Brown would be going to the Miami Heat in return. Now, in terms of Andrew Wiggins, if the Raptors do get him, I'll say this now, it's very likely they look to move off of RJ Barrett as well. They simply can't have that many guys making this much money, and it doesn't make sense for a Toronto Raptors team to have like a potential starting lineup of Emmanuel Quickly, RJ Barrett, Andrew Wiggins, Scotty Barnes, and whoever our future center is, whether that's Jakob Poeltl for next season or if the Raptors trade for someone else or draft a center as well. So that's too much money tied into those four guys there. So if the Raptors do get Andrew Wiggins, do not be surprised if we start hearing RJ Barrett trade rumors as well. But also, for me personally, if we're talking about Andrew Wiggins to the Toronto Raptors, even though he's older, even though he's making money, he's pretty much a stopgap until the Raptors do find a small forward, whether that's through draft, whether that's through trades, whatever the case may be. And if the Raptors in a season or so are doing well and they want to trade for a bigger contract, well, you got Andrew Wiggins who's making $28, $30 million in the next couple seasons, who you can throw in as well. And I just feel like Andrew Wiggins is a player that always have value around the league just because he's consistently, provided good defense. He's going to give you 16, 17 points every game. He shoots a three-point ball as well. So that's something a lot of teams look for a player at the small forward position as well. But what are your thoughts on this? Would you do this deal? And would you expect more draft capital to go to the Toronto Raptors in return for taking on Andrew Wiggins? Let me know. But we've got a few more rumors to discuss, and it wouldn't be a Raptors video without hearing trade rumors about Bruce Brown. Well, we got two surprising teams that haven't been linked to Bruce Brown previously. And this was Evan Sidri reporting that the Heat, Lakers, Pistons, and Timberwolves have recently expressed trade interest in Bruce Brown. Brown's $23 million expiring contract will make negotiations difficult, especially for teams over the apron, but Toronto is indeed generating a market for the Vetro combo guard. Now, I was really surprised to hear Minnesota and Pistons on there. Pistons are a team I've kind of mocked with the Bruce Brown situation. Also they have a player who I have interest in. But let's talk about the Timberwolves salary cap situation first, because theirs is a very complicated situation. They obviously have too much money, which is why they traded Cat. But now they've got this Julius Randle problem. Could they possibly look to trade Julius Randle for Bruce Brown? Sure, but they definitely would have to add some sort of assets in return for that as well. And I'm not quite sure the Raptors would really want to do that. I mean, Julius Randle, he's a player that is known for playing selfishly. He doesn't play a lot of team ball. Look, I know the Knicks had a lot of wins when he was there with them, even before last season, but I just don't view him as a piece that really helps the Raptors. He's going to definitely get in the way of Scotty Barnes, and it doesn't make sense. But in terms of some of the other players, they're not trading Jaden McDaniels, guys. Do not worry. They're not trading him, even though his production is so far down this season. He'd be a great ad for the Raptors. However, what I'm looking at in terms of money, contract, and players, this is how it's going to work if the Raptors are to trade Bruce Brown to Minnesota, because Minnesota, we know, is trying to shed salary. You're looking at Dante DiVincenzo, Mike Conley's contract, and then here's where it gets interesting, because you got about $20 million. You can add another $3 or $4 million on there. You could possibly look to acquire Terrence Shannon Jr. I don't know how highly Minnesota views him. I'd personally see if I can try and get my hands on Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He's an expiring contract, and again, the Minnesota Timberwolves are in a position where they wish to save salary. So getting rid of those contracts alone would save them a ton of money. 20 million, in fact, just trading Dante and Mike Conley as well. So that could be an interesting package surrounding Bruce Brown as well. Again, if the Raptors are greedy, maybe you look at someone like Leonard Miller. He's a Canadian as well. He's a power forward, small forward that you could potentially look to acquire in a Bruce Brown trade. But in terms of the Pistons, this is where it gets interesting, because they've got a couple contracts they can throw in. I definitely don't see them throwing in Tim Hardaway Jr. He's been a surplus for them this season. You could look at someone like Isaiah Stewart. Given his tactics on the court this season, he could be a player that definitely would want to get moved. And I personally think he's acting out because he's obviously not been happy about his reduced role. And I'm not saying Jalen Duren shouldn't be starting over Isaiah Stewart. He absolutely should be. but I think Isaiah Stewart is kind of grumpy being in that situation. And why would the Raptors do this? Why would they want a player like Isaiah Stewart? You may ask. One simple reason only. You need some toughness. You need some camaraderie amongst your guys. And the Raptors, I hate to say this. I wouldn't say they're a soft team by any measure, but they also aren't a tough team as well. Isaiah Stewart plays the center power forward position. He's one of those players that is gonna grind it out and give you a 15 and 6 rebound type of game with one assist or one block. He's not the most talented player. He's not gonna give you 20 and 10 each game, but he's gonna grind it out. He's gonna be physical. And that's, I think, something the Raptors really desperately lack on this team as well. I think they could use that in Isaiah Stewart. So that is a player to keep in mind when we talk about the Raptors and potential trade targets as well. So I would personally like that. But what do you think of these two teams? Again, we've touched upon the Miami Heat and the LA Lakers regarding Bruce Brown in the past. It seems kind of redundant to talk about them over and over in terms of Bruce Brown. But what do you think of this? And let's talk about our last trade rumor regarding the Toronto Raptors. And this was via Raptors Update on Instagram. Shout out to them always for providing us with quality trade rumors. And this was saying that Toronto is rumored to be seeking more than a first round pick for Jakob Poeltl. Toronto is rumored to be seeking more than a first round pick for Jakob Poeltl, and perhaps even two, according to Dan Voigt of LA Times. So this does not surprise me. I mean, the Raptors gave up one first round pick and two second round picks, and I wasn't. Look, I'm not going to lie. I liked that deal at the time, but I still think that deal is decent, regardless of what people may say. But the reason I say this is because the Raptors needed a center, regardless of if they were rebuilding at that time. You would still need a center with Scotty Barnes as well, or this team would be absolutely downright horrible, even worse than what they've looked early on this season. So the Raptors moving off of Jakob Poeltl, very likely, are they going to get their asking price of possibly two first round picks or even one first round picks and a second round pick? I'm not quite sure. The market isn't the best right now for a lot of teams looking to get a first round pick. The Chicago Bulls are quite evident of that. They're not getting a first round pick for Nikola Vucevic, and he is definitely a lot more talented offensively than Jakob Poeltl. A little bit on the older side, but still, even he's not getting you a first round pick. I'm not quite sure if Jakob will be able to get you a good quality first round pick as well in at least this season. So maybe wait till the offseason again, unless a deal comes through, which absolutely blows you away. I don't see the Raptors getting a great deal for Jakob Poeltl right now as we speak. But what are your thoughts on these trade rumors? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, I do have a trivia question for you today. And that trivia question is, how many teams has Dante DiVincenzo played for? Is it A3? Is it B5? Is it C2? Or is it D4? So whoever answers this trivia question correctly first in the comment section gets a shout out in my next video. So that will be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you guys have yourselves a great day.